Okay, call this meeting of the Fremont County Board of Human Services to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Payne,
Present.
Commissioner Bell,
Present.
Commissioner McFall,
Present.
Okay. Approval of minutes for the March 31st, 2020 meeting.
Mr. Chair, I had the opportunity to look through those minutes and they looked good to me. I move to approve the minutes from March 31st.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, move on to approval of agenda. Do we have anything to add?
I would like to remove item D from new business, position request. I'm going to save that to a later date when I've had time to think through a couple of issues and manage the budget issues that are facing us right now. So I would like to hold off on that, and I would like to add approval of a lease with Loaves and Fishes.
New business.
Yes, please, thank you.
We can only take off, we can't add. Approval of lease?
A lease with Loaves and Fishes.
Okay.
With those adjustments, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to approval of financial and caseload reports.
So the financial and caseload reports are in your packet that you received previously. There's nothing really remarkable. You'll see that some of the expenditures are slowly increasing. Next month, you will see a pretty significant increase in a couple of different areas, I think, and particularly TANF and food assistance.
All right, we kind of expect those. We're seeing a lot of changes throughout Fremont County with budgets and income and revenues and some of the expenditures as well. So, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the financial and caseload reports today.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the financial and caseload reports. Any further discussion? All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Move on to director's report. Stacy?
Okay, so you have the director's report in your packet also. It's very short because the majority of what I've done and what the agency's done in the past month has been related to our response to COVID-19, and I have a separate report addressing those issues. So do you have any questions for me?
See, we have chosen somebody to replace Carrie Porter. Sad to see that.
Yes, we're very sad to see Carrie go, but we're excited for hiring somebody new in that position as well.
I have no questions.
Okay.
Issues. All right, Mr. Chair, I move to approve accept the manager's report, or the director's report, sorry.
I'll second that.
Tongue-tied today.
We're not approving the manager's report. We're going to accept the director's
That's
report.
what I said the second time.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor signify with aye.
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 Okay. Move to old business, COVID update.
Okay, so I just wanted to provide some highlights of what has been occurring in the agency since the last time we met. Regarding internal operations, there are a couple of things I'd like to point out. We have approved, as I reported last time, that the TANF disaster function has been approved at the state level, and so we've been approving TANF disaster relief, and so far we have approved $27,000 and $27,200 for 16 different households. We anticipate that number will continue to rise. We submit a report to the state each week, giving them updates. Also, the state has approved that for SNAP benefits, those are the food assistance, that any household that is eligible for assistance will receive the maximum amount allowable through the month of May, and that's going to continuously be assessed as long as there's a federal and state disaster in place. They think that they will continue that effort. Our economic security applications, so that's Medicaid, SNAP, TANF, all inclusive, those have increased about 41% so far this month. So a pretty significant increase. Also, I had previously mentioned that for abuse and neglect reports in child welfare, those numbers were really steady, and in fact, we saw a slight increase, but they have decreased so far this month by about 30%. Normally, we would be glad of that occurrence, but it's concerning to know that there aren't a lot of eyes on children right now, and so just hoping that people are being aware, and that if anybody does have concerns, that they continue to report that. I would also point out that due to all of this, our courts are not holding review hearings like they normally do, and so we're trying to continue to progress cases along and get children home and get them to permanency, but that's a little more challenging when we're not having court. So that's definitely a stumbling block. I would like to say a huge thank you to Fremont County Sheriff's Office for helping us out with doing fingerprinting. One of the requirements when we place children in a kinship home, we have to complete fingerprinting for anybody over the age of 18 in that household within 14 days. That's a regulation, and that's the only way we can place children with kin. And our local provider had closed, and so the sheriff was gracious enough to allow us to put a plan together and screen people and get those done. Also, then moving on to our emergency management updates regarding feeding, I have a lot of thank yous. I feel like there have been a lot of agencies and individuals that have jumped in and helped our community out and helped the Department of Human Services out, and I just want to recognize them. So for our homeless quarantine and isolation feeding plan, huge thank you to Loaves and Fishes and the Green Thumb Initiative, because they have put together a feeding plan for preparing meals for individuals once we get the shelter up and running. And then also thank you to Doritos and Chili's and Salvation Army, Red Cross, and Wholesome for providing a bunch of supplies for the delivery of those foods. We received a lot of donations, and we appreciate that. And then our community quarantine and isolation feeding plan, that's going really well. We're delivering, we're connecting countless numbers of people to community resources. There's so many great resources out there right now, and we've only had to deliver to seven households so far during this, which is really kind of remarkable. And again, thank you to Mercy Today Ministries, Manna House, the Pantry of Fremont, and Loaves and Fishes, and our community response team for all of that. They're doing a great job.
Quick question for you on that. You say you've had to deliver to 7 households. Were those multiple deliveries to those 7 households, or was it just a one-time for each?
Yeah, so far it's only been once to each. We're providing enough food for the 14 days, if that's
Okay.
what they need. And actually, we just discussed today that we might call those individuals back and see how they're doing, make sure that they have what they need, see if we need to follow up on anything.
Great, thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, I don't know if everybody's seen, but there are just a tremendous amount of food distributions occurring in the community, and we've been honored to support COG through their food distribution. We've provided volunteers, and there are literally tons of food being distributed. And so I spoke earlier today with Dee Dee from Loaves and Fishes, and she said that there clearly isn't a lack of food to be distributed. Sometimes it's a matter of making sure that those that need it have access to that food. So really trying to brainstorm and make sure that anybody that is in need is connected to that, or it can be delivered to them. And then, as you know, we are making progress on our sheltering plan. We have secured a location, and I do have a lease for you to approve later. Again, lots of community partners helped with this. COG, Loaves and Fishes, Sol Vista, and Sunny helped tremendously in developing a plan. And so really appreciate that. And then just a couple more thank yous to entities and people in the community that just really went above and beyond. The Rotary Clubs of Canyon City and Florence made masks for the Department of Human Services. Wholesome provided bags for our food delivery, gloves for safety, and cleaning supplies. And then one of our community partners that would rather remain anonymous provided N95 masks for individuals that will be transporting and cleaning the rooms. We were really having difficulty getting a hold of those, and they heard that, and so they stepped up and donated those to us. And then HomeSmart Preferred Realty did a huge donation collection for us for community members that donated puzzles and games and all kinds of good stuff for Stitches donated masks, and then Connie Dickens at the department made a lot of masks and donated food and hygiene products for the shelter as well. So it's just really been nice to see people coming together and being so generous and helpful.
It really is impressive, Stacy, so thanks for the update and the report. And I just would ask to clarify, if anyone is listening to this who may need some of the services that you're talking about, how do they get connected to those services?
Yes, just call the Department of Human Services, 275-2318, and we will connect you.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. That's it? Okay,
That's it.
it's all for old business. Move on to new business. The subsidized adoption policy.
Yes, so the Department of Human Services was recently required by the Colorado Department of Human Services to write an updated subsidized adoption policy. It is quite lengthy, as you can see. It's lengthy because there were very specific things that the state required be in it, which was a lot of referencing back to regulations and other policies at the state. So it is quite lengthy. But we need to, we had to develop this for the Department of Human Services, the Colorado Department of Human Services, and we'll be submitting it to them if approved.
So, and it was looked over by our legal, I assume?
We don't usually do program, we usually don't send program
okay.
policies through
Okay.
legal.
It is very lengthy.
It is lengthy, yeah.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the sub-adoption policy, subsidized adoption policy.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify with aye.
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 Okay. Selling TANF.
Okay, it's that time of year again where we're looking at what our TANF reserve looks like, what we anticipate with our current allocation we will be utilizing, and what will be left over. And with where we're at, and our reserve continues to, the cap continues to decrease because our allocation continues to decrease. So we will only be allowed to have a max of $713,000 in the reserve, and we are going to be underspending our allocation this year, we believe, and so we would like to request the ability to sell $94,000 of our reserves, of our TANF allocation to other counties that are in need of it. And as you'll recall, that saves the county from the 20% MOE.
In addition to that, it also gives us the opportunity to help out another county who is desperately in need of those
Yes.
funds, correct?
Correct.
And there hasn't been any discussion with the state as to reallocate any of those funds for anything else with what's happening with this COVID response?
Not the county TANF reserves. There's discussion about the state long-term TANF reserves, but not the county reserves at this point.
All right, any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the sale of $94,000 in TANF allocations to other counties.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve selling the TANF funds for $94,000. Give Stacy the option to do that. Any further discussion? All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Options for long-term care contract.
Okay, so you will recall that we've been having discussions about our contract with Healthcare Policy and Financing for the Options for Long-Term Care program. We've held this contract for a very long time, and as things change at the state level, they have changed the contracting, and they are moving towards a fee-for-service. Based on that and the legal review of the proposed contract, we've had discussions of not moving forward with next year's contract. It's a very, very difficult discussion. I've talked with the team. They're aware that this is a likelihood and that decision will be made today. But based on the financial impact that it could cause the county, it's a very high risk, and it just, it's not in the best interest of Fremont County financially to move forward with this contract for next year.
So do we have a current contract in place that we would need to notify them that will be terminated at the end of the year?
We do have a contract in place, and we would continue to work to the end of that contract. I did have a conversation yesterday with a representative from Healthcare Policy and Financing and let them know that this would be on the agenda today and this decision would be made, and so we will have to provide them a letter notifying them.
So this really would be providing them that letter then, notifying them we are not willing to move forward after December 31st of this year?
It's actually June 30th.
June 30th of this year.
The state
Okay.
fiscal year.
Okay, so it's the
Yes.
fiscal year, okay.
Yes.
So that is coming quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the requirement is 60 days to terminate, but what we're doing is we're not entering into a new contract.
Not
Is there
renewing.
anything
You're
else?
just kind of letting it. The contract will expire. Yeah.
We are required by the contract, though, to provide transition to the next contract holder. So we anticipate there would be a lot of transition that would occur.
Okay.
So is this an action item, or we just let it expire?
No, I think we need an action. We need to, I move upon Stacy's recommendation to not continue with the long-term care contract. So providing a letter stating so, and the current contract runs out June 30th and will expire, and not to carry on with that after
Okay.
that.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I would just say, I don't think this makes any of us happy. I know that this is going to affect some of the employees that we have out at DHS. We have had conversations about moving some folks around and being able to absorb some of them. And so I know transitioning sometimes is very, very difficult, but I also know, Stacy, that you will do it as gently as you possibly can. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Okay. Last item is your approval of your lease with Loaves and Fishes.
Okay, we are happy to be at a point that we have a proposed lease for Loaves and Fishes. It is for the use of 3 sites at their New Creations Inn and a camper that is going to be housed at Loaves and Fishes for now. The contract is for $1,800 for 1 month period of May 1st through May 30th, and in addition to reimbursing them for expenses of security, for lack of a better term, awake staff at the site, just to make sure that individuals aren't coming in and out of the location.
Okay. So is this contract just for the month of May to begin with?
It is.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
All right, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the lease and the chairman's signature with Loaves and Fishes for $1,800 for the month of May as described by Stacy.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
And that also, just to clarify, it does include reimbursement. We will reimburse them for the cost of the security.
And reimbursement for the cost of security. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All in favor signify with aye.
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 Okay, Stacy, do you have anything else?
I do not.
Okay, with no further business coming before this board, we are adjourned.